Welcome back. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for Friday, March the 22nd, also known as my wife's birthday. So I went out with her today. That's why there's a little less in terms of videos on the channel today, because I went shopping with her, got her some stuff, that kind of thing. Anyways, news from today, starting with Tom Wilson. He was given a 6-game suspension by a Department of Player Safety. Apparently, he already apologized to Noah Gregor. Gregor accepted his apology, said he really seemed to be remorseful. Honestly, I think Wilson's... I get people being upset with the stick swinging, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be, and I'm not saying the 6 games isn't fair, but I think there's some maturity from Wilson with how he's handled this, comparatively speaking with, say, 5 years ago, how he would handle this kind of thing. I don't anticipate when he comes back from suspension us talking about Wilson should Washington make the playoffs. I don't expect it. So at any rate, he gets 6 games. It's a lot of money, but he accepts that. And again, he has already apologized to Gregor. He apologized to Gregor in the moment. Again, I felt like it was more reckless than anything else. One of those I just did something really stupid kind of moments, which we've all had stupid moments. Not necessarily a hockey stick to somebody's face, but we've all gone through stupid moments. So the Nashville Predators, the reason I'm wearing Nashville gear, they did set the record last night. So it's 16 games without a loss in regulation for the Nashville Predators, and they look fantastic. And now all of a sudden, a lot of discussion about how tough they might be in the playoffs. Yeah, that's absolutely a discussion worth having. The Central Division, the top 4 teams, really quite good. So where the Central Division last year looked like, maybe things are weakening a little bit with some of the teams in the Central. No. Winnipeg's had quite the season, so is Nashville. Yeah, we're not seeing any kind of drop-off when it comes to the Central. You do have Arizona and Chicago, who clearly are rebuilding. Minnesota's had their struggles this year, but in general, that's a pretty solid division all around. Toronto news, so Matt Murray back on the ice. Briefly, but it is a really good sign. He had surgery in October. There's been a lot of discussion about whether or not it might end up being career-ending, and he is an unrestricted free agent this summer. So he's not close to a return or anything, but the fact that he's been able to take to the ice, that's great news for Matt Murray and in his recovery. It's a long road that he's on, but hopefully he's able to fully recover. That's my hope. Fingers crossed on that one. Murray really did look like in 2017 like he was one of the better young goaltenders in the NHL. He's had some good times since then. Of course, we know about the struggles he's had as well. Here's to hoping there's some good times in the offing for him. So we'll see what happens this summer and where he signs or how that ends up working out. You have to think his time as a Maple Leaf is done at the end of this season, no matter what happens. Mitch Marner, he is still listed and considered to be close, but he's not that close. He's not playing either of the games this weekend. They're playing against Edmonton and then Carolina, so if he was able to go at all, he'd be in the lineup. It has to be concerning for Leaf fans. I don't think there's any reason for panic necessarily, so I'm not putting a panic face up, but without Marner, it definitely affects their attack. But, I mean, when you score 7 against Washington, your attack's pretty good at that stage. We'll see what happens this weekend, right? So, an anniversary as well. Today, 30 years since Wayne Gretzky scored goal number 802 to pass Gordie Howe. I believe that was against the Vancouver Canucks, as it felt like a lot of important goals in Gretzky's career was against the Canucks. I wasn't nearly as happy as a lot of other people were that he got that goal when he did. I wanted him to get it like a game later or a game before. But at any rate, he got that 802nd goal. It passed Gordie Howe. I remember when he did it, immediately people came out and said, well, he passed Howe, but Howe had those goals in the WHA that the NHL doesn't count. So did he really pass Gordie Howe? So at any rate, that was conversation then. And I've heard that conversation get mentioned here and there as well about the Chase Ovechkin's on. But yeah, it was a big deal when he passed Gordie Howe. And I do expect it to be a big deal once the day comes that Ovechkin passes Gretzky's current mark of 894 goals. And again, if the way Gretzky played, it's not dissimilar from McDavid. That I kept wanting to say McMichael because I've been watching the Carolina-Washington game. But McDavid, he could score more goals, but he prefers to pass. Gretzky was that kind of player too. Set all the records for goals, and then he was just about setting up teammates and getting them as many goals as well. The back of the net was considered to be his office. So, yeah, kudos on that anniversary to Wayne Gretzky. Now, looking at scoring leaders currently in the National Hockey League, and this is fascinating because a whole Hart discussion. There was a conversation I heard last night, one of the broadcasts I was watching, where they said, so if Matthews hits 70 goals, does he just get the Hart? Like, do we just vote the Hart to Austin Matthews? And I said out loud to the TV that didn't hear me, no. It does not automatically mean that it's Matthews' trophy. And I think Kucherov has a really good shot at it. He has 122 points. In the month of March, 7 games, 3 goals, 15 assists, 18 points. Those numbers are pretty good. Then you've got McKinnon right behind him at 117 points. In 8 games, he has 6 goals, 11 assists, 17 points, which is good, but his point per game rate's below Kucherov's. Then there's McDavid. He's at 112 points. 10 games played, 4 goals, 14 assists, 18 points this month. So he has the lowest point per game mark with 18 points in 10 games. It's absolutely insane. We're spoiled right now for choice when it comes to the Hart, but I do think it has to be Kucherov, I think, although McDavid and McKinnon have arguments to be made, and yes, if Matthews does reach 70 goals, he will get some conversation about it, which means since there's 4 we have that argument for, one of them is going to be snubbed when it comes to the Hart, and we find out who the finalists are. So it'll be fascinating to see how that turns out. Who would your Hart vote go to? Again, if I had a vote right now, it's between Kucherov and McKinnon for me. I mean, people will say that the center's McKinnon, so he's better, but Kucherov has a huge lead in points over number 2 on the team there. It's tough between the two of them. I'm glad I don't have to vote. So extension talks have started between the Vegas Golden Knights and Jonathan Marchessault. I think it's in the mutual interests of the player and the team to get this done, not let it drag on. Apparently an extension is not close. It's not in the offing. However, they're having discussions, and I would think, yeah, we're going to see an extension between Marchessault and the Vegas Golden Knights. As I mentioned a couple days ago, he has 38 goals in Vegas. I don't know if he would have 38 goals if he was playing somewhere else. I don't know if we would see Marchessault's numbers drop off. Look at Riley Smith. Riley Smith ends up in Pittsburgh. His numbers have dropped off, which makes Vegas look smart. Vegas seems to know when to cut players. Vegas seems to know when it's okay. It's time to let guys go. And I do think there's other GMs that could learn from that, who decide to hold on to guys when their best days are clearly behind them and maybe sign them to contracts that are a little bit too rich for what they are. And I will be doing videos over the next couple of days. I want to do something contract related, whether it's players who haven't necessarily lived up to their contracts this year or players who are on really team-friendly contracts that maybe are coming close to due. So look for those videos over the next couple of days. But at any rate, let me know your thoughts regarding any of the items on the board. Is 6 games enough for Wilson? I saw somebody say, oh, he should be thrown out of the game forever. That seems like a bit of an overreaction since, honestly, Wilson this year has not played a dirty game. Was that a dirty play that deserved 6-game suspension? Yes. But has he played a dirty game this year? Not really, no. One thing I do wonder, though, is Wilson's point totals are down. Is it because maybe he's playing a less intense game? Maybe you need him to go out there and make those kinds of hits, and maybe that leads to other things on the ice. Maybe he has to play on the edge in order to get those numbers too. But at any rate, yeah, let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.